Okay, on page 7 of your interactive notebook, please first make a pocket so that the pocket ends up being on the right-hand side of your interactive notebook. And then you'll title it Transformations of Functions Exploration. These sheets we'll put into our pocket tomorrow. You have them already actually from our exploration, but we'll put them in there tomorrow, not a big deal. Please go ahead and cut out from the sheets that you picked up today the part that looks like this. And then once you have that pasted, you're going to label the different parts as according to the transformations that occur. So f of x is the parent function. We know that if I put an a out in front of it, it does one of three things. If a is a negative number, which means it's less than 0, it's going to reflect over the x-axis. We found out today in class that if it is bigger than 1, if a is bigger than 1, we have a vertical stretch by that factor of a. And if a is between 0 and 1, then we're going to have a vertical compression, so it's going to get a little bit flatter towards the x-axis. Then as we continue inside the function into the input part, we have the negative out in front of x is going to cause a reflection over the y-axis because you're going to negate all those x's and make them opposites. Now, if your parenthesis is already after the x, the negative has not been distributed as of yet, you have parentheses x minus c. This will do exactly what I've already taught you. It'll move right c units as long as it is bigger than 0. It'll move left c units as long as c is negative, because remember, if c, for example, is negative 2, we would have x minus negative 2, which becomes x plus 2. And so that's what we learned would make it go left. Now, if this has already been distributed, it will mess it up a little bit for us, so that's why I went ahead and put it on the outside prior to the distribution, so it would look exactly like what we did in class. And then the plus d on the outside is going to make it go up d units if d is bigger than 0, but it's going to make it go down d units if it's less than 0. And then the second part of this pocket you're going to have on there is a table that looks like this. I'm not going to go over any of this because we just did it a moment ago when we talked about the top half, so you'll just fill that in for me. The only part that I'm going to go over is the point column, the one on the right there. So for example, if I want to make a transformation go up d or down d, both of these are going to be on the outside of the parentheses, and so therefore we know it's going to affect the output, which means it's going to affect the y value. So in both cases, we're going to add d to the y value. We're going to leave x alone. The reason we're going to add d to both cases is because in this first column is distinguishing between whether d is positive or negative. So if d is positive, nothing will happen. But if d is negative, for example, negative 1, we know that's going to go down 1. That'll become y plus negative 1, which makes that y minus 1, and it truly still will go down d units. Now, for these two, making it go right and left, you'll notice that we are not going to do anything to the y value. This d right here should be y, so I apologize for that. We're not going to do anything to the y value of the coordinate. We're simply going to add c units to the value of x to make it go left and right. Now again, the c being positive or negative will determine if it makes the graph move right or left. But over here, we're going to add c both times, because even if c is negative, when you add a negative to this x, it'll end up becoming minus in the end. Now your vertical stretches and compressions, that is again also messing with the output as well, so therefore we are going to leave the x value alone and multiply our outputs, which is our y, by the value of a. Then your reflection over x, that means you're going to make all your y's negative, but your reflections over y are going to make your x's negative. And that is it for this page.